Okay, so my first question that I was just thinking was, what was the difference between graffiti and murals to begin with? So, according to the Google definition, graffiti is writing or drawings scribbled, scratched, or sprayed on a wall or other surface in a public space. On the contrast, murals, according to the Google definition, are a painting or other work of art executed directly on a wall. So the difference that I see here is maybe a mural doesn't have to be in a public space. A mural can be elsewhere, and graffiti almost always is in a public space. But the big difference that I see is just that one is considered art and the other one isn't, which in a way makes sense because graffiti can be vandalizing. And that just makes me think of calligraphy, because the Google definition of calligraphy is decorative handwriting or handwritten lettering, or the art of producing decorative handwriting or lettering with a pen or brush. But technically, isn't a lot of graffiti just lettering? It just might not be what people see as art. So I think that a lot of it is just up for debate on what the differences are between each, because obviously murals are more accepted than graffiti. Murals are seen as something beautiful, but graffiti isn't always. And even though sometimes I don't think that graffiti is always pretty, or you know. So my second question is, what is considered graffiti? According to legalmatch.com, graffiti is the act of scratching, etching, painting, or other form of writing, drawing on the surface of someone else's property. It is often associated with tagging. So in the film, in the little lesson that Professor Peck created, he talked about how he saw stickers, we paste, and sculpture as graffiti as well, because it's technically on someone else's property as well. And that kind of makes me think about, like, what are the consequences of, let's say, stickers or we paste in a public space, or sculpture graffiti in a public space, because then again, people still don't have permission for that. This is jumping ahead a little bit, but in the film for this week as well, it was mentioned how important permission is, because if someone has permission to paint that on a wall, then it's considered art. So even if someone had permission to paint graffiti on a wall, it would be often associated as art. So I don't know, that's just something interesting that I was thinking about. And that leads me to my last question that I pose is, does art need to have a meaning, and how does this play into graffiti? So personally, I don't think that art has to have a meaning. It doesn't always have to be super deep. Just like in the past, maybe people did create super important and meaningful paintings, and then that kind of changed into abstract paintings where it just has a different purpose. That doesn't always have to have a deep meaning, personally, I think. Sometimes people just want to express themselves, and that's okay. And I think that graffiti can be that. Graffiti can be a way of expressing oneself, or just like calligraphy, it has a purpose to be visually appealing. There's no deeper meaning to that. And the same can go for graffiti. And that's just kind of where I stand, because I kind of, in a way, associate calligraphy with graffiti, even though graffiti can be done on paper, but calligraphy is seen to be done like with a pen or pencil by hand, or something like that.